I love to do that. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. So if we haven't met before, my name is Gentalopa. And this session, this long series of teachings, is called Lamrim, the lamp for the path to enlightenment. And part of this is training the mind to overcome our biggest problem, which is called self-cherishing. We think that we're the center of the universe, don't you? Yeah. And this is a great problem for us, because we come to feel that our own wishes are much more important than anybody else's. If we're the center of the universe, then other people, they only have importance to the extent that they relate to us, or to me, or to you. So if they make us feel good, then we like to have pleasant feelings, and we think our happiness, the source of our happiness. So if someone is giving us pleasant feelings, then we're attracted to them. And we want them to stay around, because we want these pleasant feelings to continue, and this other person is the source of these pleasant feelings, yeah? And then there's other people who, when we think about them, we meet them, they give us unpleasant feelings. So we want to get rid of them as quickly as possible, because we don't like the unpleasant feelings that we have. We want them to go away, and so we can only have pleasant feelings for the rest of our life. So you can see how we kind of try to rearrange what's appearing in our life. And some things we're attracted to and we want to keep, other things we're not attracted to, we develop aversion to, we want to get rid of. And we do that with people. And it's a great mistake. And because all the time, we're going to be frustrated. Our wishes are not going to be fulfilled. How can we possibly rearrange the whole of the external world? Because, there will be times when we're having to deal with difficult situations. And we're not always able to get hold of and possess and control all the things and people and places that we long for. And so this leads us to develop irritation and anger and jealousy when we see other people being happy and we are not. Do you ever feel jealous of other people's good fortune? There's good conditions, someone's driving around in a beautiful red Ferrari. Or is it just me that feels that? I used to use this example quite a lot, and then someone gave me a red Ferrari, but it was this size. So that's what we want to talk about tonight. We're gradually overcoming this mind of self-cherishing, which is the source of all our problems, all our anger, delusions, and uncontrolled desires, and jealousy, and deluded pride. They all arise from this mind of self-cherishing. So in this text, there's a couple of chapters pointing out the faults of self-cherishing, the dangers of self-cherishing, how we continue to create our own problems and difficulties. Because when we act upon these negative minds, these delusions, we create negative actions. And then when we create negative actions, it's like we're planting a seed, a negative seed or a negative potential in our own mind that will eventually cause us problems and difficulties when a particular situation arises. And all the difficulties we've already experienced in this lifetime is arising from our self-cherishing in previous lifetimes. Because our mind has been around since beginningless time. We've all had different bodies in the past. But in past lives, we've been engaging in all kinds of actions as well. And some of these actions have been pretty negative. And so we're bearing the cost of some of those actions now in this very lifetime. So if you come to understand this, then you realize if I keep engaging in negative actions, all I'm doing is perpetuating this process of experiencing suffering. And I'm fed up. I'm fed up with all the suffering I have to endure. And so I'm going to change my mind. And what we need to address is overcoming this mind of self-cherishing and coming to cherish only others. Only others. It doesn't mean to say that we stop caring for ourselves. We just let ourselves go and just, and don't look after ourselves. I'm not saying we don't eat proper food. We stop exercising. We stop enjoying ourselves. I'm not saying that, but as part of our life, we come to cherish other people and think other people are important. There's a great 8th century scholar, and I've said this many, many times, that all the happiness in the world comes from a mind that wishes other people to be happy. All the happiness in the world comes from a mind that wishes other people to be happy. So you can take that to your bank and deposit it, and because this is the truth, it's the ultimate truth. That includes each one of us. Every person's happiness depends upon them being able to wish for the happiness of other people. But you kind of know this already, don't you? Yeah. You ever held a small baby in your arms? Yes? No? Well, if you haven't, you can go down to Liverpool 1 and get and see someone with a stroller, or what do you call them? What do you call them here? Prams or pram. See someone with a pram and ask to borrow their baby for a little moment, so you can just hold it. And when you're holding this small person, what do you feel? You're not thinking, please make me happy. You just have this beautiful wish, I want you to be happy. So we can have that mind, and we've had it many times. And so if we just change the person, get some other baby, or get a small puppy and wish the same thing, and it's the same. And then you can get a little teenager, or a toddler, or a teenager, or a young adult, a middle-aged adult, an old adult. And it's the same. I just want you to be happy. And you can experience the joy that comes from that mind, just naturally arises. But we're not very good at that, and we have many obstructions. So today I want to talk about a couple of issues from the chapter called How to Enhance Cherishing Love. So we begin to cherish other living beings. So there's 3 types of love. There's affectionate love, like we have a mother or parent for their children. We have affection for them, so whenever we see them, we have our mind feels warm and friendly. And then there's cherishing love, when we want to take care of other people. And then there's wishing love, when we realize that other people are not really finding happiness, because mainly they're looking in the wrong way, the wrong place. Because we're all looking externally for happiness. We want to get the right house, the right car, the right place to live, the right friends, the right cafes to go to for coffee and lunch and so on. And the right coffee, the right cafe in Lark Lane and so on. But none of these things are true sources of happiness. None of them. Because happiness is only a quality of mind. And so we need to be able to create our own happiness within our own mind. And hardly anybody is doing that. And so once we take on this job ourselves, we come to realize that everybody is facing this problem where they're not finding true happiness. And so we develop this mind of wishing love. When we develop love and compassion for everyone, then this mind of wishing love is wishing others to find the real happiness. Okay, but in the meantime, we're just trying to develop this mind of cherishing love. So we begin with liberating prayer, which you'll find on a red card, and then we'll do a meditation.
O Blessed One, Shakyamuni Buddha, precious treasury of compassion, bestower of supreme inner peace, you who love all beings without exception, are the source of happiness and goodness, and you guide us to the liberating path. Your body is a wish-fulfilling jewel. Your speech is supreme purifying nectar, and your mind is refuge for all living beings. With folded hands I turn to you, supreme unchanging friend. I request from the depths of my heart, please give me the light of your wisdom to dispel the darkness of my mind, and to heal my mental continuum. Please nourish me with your goodness, that I in turn may nourish all beings with an unceasing banquet of delight. Through your compassionate intention, your blessings and virtuous deeds, and my strong wish to rely upon you, may all suffering quickly cease, and all happiness and joy be fulfilled, and may holy
And so we can meditate. In meditation, it's good to have a good posture, so we try to have a straight back. You can gently close your eyes, close your mouth. You can place the back of your right hand in the palm of your left like this, and then raise the thumbs so the tips of your thumbs touch gently together, and relax your hand into your lap. And with your mouth closed, your eyes gently closed, you just breathe naturally through your nostrils. Don't try to speed up your breathing or slow it down. And for a few moments, just watch the rhythm of your breathing. Try to ignore any thoughts about the outside world. Just let them all go away. And just focus your whole mind on your breath. As if the whole of the outside world just disappears into space. And as you focus your mind on your breath, you may notice a feeling at the tip of your nose. You may notice it feels cool as you breathe in, and when you breathe out, it feels slightly warm. Cool as you breathe in, warm as you breathe out. But the difference is very slight, barely noticeable. But try to find that subtle feeling. And then when you find it, just allow your whole mind to relax into that feeling. It's as if the feeling becomes absorbed into your mind, and your mind becomes absorbed into the feeling. So your mind becomes the feeling. Your mind is the feeling. So it's not as if the feeling is over there and your mind is here. Your mind and the feeling are together. No gap. and you realize that your mind is becoming still. And from the stillness of your own mind will naturally come a deep feeling of peace and contentment. So see if you can find your own feelings of peace and contentment that arise when your mind becomes still. This is like your basic mind, like a clear sky, free from clouds. And your basic mind itself is the nature of peace. Free from distracting thoughts. So when you arise from meditation in a few moments, try to remember any feelings of peace and contentment that you had, because you can bring them back again any time. So now you can begin to relax your concentration, and when you're ready you can arise from meditation. So this chapter, two chapters, one is learning to cherish others, the other is how to enhance our cherishing love. And so in the chapter, how to enhance our cherishing love, there's like 4 sections. We were talking about the first 2 sections last week, recognizing our faults, just by reading Dharma texts. So Dharma text is like showing us what is our real potential to become a completely pure being. And so we can compare ourselves with this real potential. Then we can see how we fall short in general. Or maybe you don't, I don't know. Well, it's just I fall short, you know. So, but it also is explaining what we can do to improve ourselves. So this learning to cherish other and enhancing this mind of love and cherishing love for other people. So recognizing our faults in the mirror of Dharma. So we have delusions in our own mind. We have potentials to have minds of anger and jealousy and uncontrolled desires and deluded pride. No? Or you're free from all those? Well, if you're free from all those, then you're pretty close to being enlightened being. So you can come and sit up here and I'll sit there. And the second part is viewing every living being as supremely important. Supremely important. Because every living being is an opportunity for you to develop minds of love and compassion, and to free your mind from this uncontrolled desire and irritation and anger. It's like an opportunity we have. Every person we meet is like an opportunity to become more loving and kind and considerate and compassionate. But that's not what we normally do. We normally see other people as pretty irritating, annoying. They just get in the way because we have strong self-cherishing. So the next two parts are living beings have no faults. Ooh. Living beings have no faults, but fortunately that includes you. You have no faults. There's a nice little analogy of salt water. Seawater. Seawater tastes salty because it's got salt in it, right? But the salt is not the nature of the water. If you take away the salt, then you'd be left with the pure water. In the same way that delusions that people have, like anger and jealousy and uncontrolled desires and deluded pride, that cause them to engage in bad actions, those delusions are not the person. Delusions are just a temporary aspect of our mind. If you've ever been angry, you're not permanently angry from then on. Or if you ever had jealousy, you're not permanently jealous from then on. So these delusions, they just arise and they diminish. Sometimes they're not there at all. And then a particular situation arises and they come back again. So they're just temporary aberrations that appear in our mind because we have the potentials for them. But do you ever use the term, my mind? No? I made up my mind. I'm sorry I changed my mind. I'm not going there today. Yeah. Remember, sometimes we change our mind 100 times a day. So, what we're saying when we say my mind is that my mind is something I own. I am the owner, and my mind is something I own. Just like my body. We talk about my body. We're saying me, I'm the owner, and my body is something I own. So we have a distinction between what we vision as ourself, this extraordinary, wonderful person, and our mind and our body. Yeah? So, but if the delusions, like anger, etc., are part of our mind, then they're not part of the person. Because there's a difference between the person and the mind. Yes? Okay, yes. So, what is the person then? What's the real nature of the person? Buddha is saying that every living being has the same potential to become a completely enlightened being, completely free from all delusions, completely free from all faults and negative actions, and just with a mind that is just filled with compassion and love and wisdom. That's who we are. That's the only permanent thing about us, about every living being. So even the most horrible politician who causes the worst situation and causes all kinds of havoc and wars and destruction and so on, do we think this person is inherently bad? Or is it just their delusions that are functioning to cause them to engage in these negative actions? Because our real enemies are not other people. Our real enemies are our own delusions, because they're pushing us to engage in actions that create more suffering for ourselves. So when we see other living beings creating all kinds of negative actions, the correct response is to have compassion for them, because we come to realize they're creating so much suffering for them, not just for other people, but also for their future selves. Yeah? So then that opens up our mind to be able to have love and compassion for anyone. Because so often we're thinking, oh, this is such a faulty person. I don't want to be loving and caring towards them. They don't deserve my love and the compassion. They're such a horrible person because they engage in such horrible actions. But their actions are just being driven by their own delusions, in the same way ours are. Maybe their negative actions are just excessive. But there's still no reason not to have compassion for them. They're just acting out of ignorance and unknowing. They're just operating out of almost like knee-jerk reactions, because they cherish themselves so much that they've got to get what their reputation, their possessions, their wealth, their status in life, and so on. They've got to get these things. They've got to get all the love and so on. And in order to get it, they come to think that they've got to push everybody else out the way and push them all around so they can become the highest, the best, and so on. And it's really sad in some ways, in many ways, because there's no happiness for people like that. They spend their time screaming at other people, sending horrible messages to other people, and so on. You see it happening. You just open the news and you see it happening. And so once we have this understanding that there's a difference between the mind and the person, and in the same way as if you take the salt out of the water, if you take the delusions out of the person's mind, then the mind becomes clear and pure. And so the best thing we can do for people like that is to wish for them to be free of their delusions. Just to be pray for other people to be free of their delusions. One of the best things we can do to solve problems of wars and lack of peace is to pray that all heads of state develop wisdom and compassion. Yeah. So there's many beautiful things, beautiful phrases in this text. There is a prayer that says, "This fault I see is not the fault of the person, but the fault of delusions or his actions. Realizing this, may I never view others' faults, but see all beings as supreme." So we don't focus on the faults of other people. We focus on how important these living beings are. So that we're able to have love and compassion for everyone, no matter what they've done in the past, what they're doing now, what they might do in the future. We're able to have love and compassion for everyone just by thinking in this way, that the faults, living beings have no faults. You know, if an enlightened being walked in here right now, if my teacher, Geshe Kelsang, walked in here right now, do you think he would see faults in you? Would you be thinking, oh, he can see all my negative aspects of my mind? All he would see is your great potential. And he would just spontaneously have love and compassion for you. For everyone, without exception. Because here you are, trying to understand Buddha's teachings, trying to practice Buddha's teachings. And what an amazing thing to do. There's hardly anybody in the world doing this. Also, what happens if we focus on other people's faults? We're particularly aware of the faults of our friends and the people we have around us, the people we're closest to, because we're so familiar with them. So we pick up on their faults quite a lot, don't we? No? Yes? But how would it be if we came to the conclusion, actually, they have no faults? And it's the faults of the delusion. But it's not them. They're this extraordinary potential to become an enlightened being. So you can choose how we relate to other people. If you felt you were relating to another living, enlightened being, how would you relate to them? And you'd feel that this person was so special for you. And so they are. And focusing on other people's faults just makes our mind negative. And we stop cherishing them. Yeah. So what we want to be able to do is to love and cherish everyone without exception. So this is not going to happen overnight. But we just got to try. We just keep reminding ourselves. There's the concept of mindfulness means we just remember what we were trying to practice, what we were trying to learn, and what we're trying to bring into our daily life. So if we remain mindful of this, that living beings have no faults, then you come to realize that when you're with other people, oh, they have no faults. And so it's much easier to be able to care for them and love them and have compassion for them. Yes, no. So we'll try, when the people you're close to, when you go to work or when you go home, just bear that in mind. Yeah. You can be like, for example, like a parent who, when they see their child throwing a tantrum, you don't stop loving them. You realize that the tantrum is just a temporary aberration of their mind. Yeah. I mean, the parent doesn't stop loving this. So we can be in the same way when we see adults, our friends, throwing a tantrum. Then we don't stop caring for them. We just realize they're having some difficulties that in their mind is causing this strange behavior. And so the person is still the same. We can just keep loving them as we've done before. all delusions are based on a mistaken way of seeing things. When we see things as they really are, our own delusions naturally disappear, and virtuous minds naturally manifest. Minds such as love and kindness are based on reality and are an expression of our pure nature. Thus, when we view others as kind, we're seeing beyond their delusions and are relating to their pure nature, their Buddha nature. So, when we stop seeing faults in other people, we're able to relate to their Buddha nature. And so, the problem is we don't know who is a Buddha and who's not a Buddha. Yeah? The person sitting next to you may already be an enlightened being. You just don't know. There's a wonderful story of a Sangha, from the scriptures many centuries ago. And a Sangha wanted to be able to receive teachings directly from an enlightened being, a Buddha, called Maitreya. And so he went into a cave to retreat on compassion, improving his mind of compassion, hoping to be able to see Maitreya and receive teachings directly from him. But it wasn't working, so after about 12 years in the cave, he decided he would give up. And as he was walking down the mountain, he comes across this old dog. And the dog is just all covered in sores and maggots and so on. And so he stops and cares for the dog. And his heart of compassion just breaks open. And of course the dog is the Buddha Maitreya, appearing as a dog. So if you have a dog, it might be a Buddha appearing as a dog. So you just don't know. The only person that you know who is not a Buddha is yourself. Yeah? When you become enlightened, you will know. So until that time, you will know that you're not an enlightened being. So we could be the same situation. The person experiencing a terrible situation, engaging in horrible actions, may be an enlightened being, appearing in this world to benefit other living beings. Maybe the most horrible head of state is appearing in this world to make people realize what horrible heads of state are like. So they never want to have another one for many, many years. You know? So all these wars that are going on that are induced by some heads of state, people are turning away from it because they realize it doesn't have to be like this. You know, we can be better than this. And so maybe we're being taught a lesson. We just don't know. Buddha compared our own Buddha nature to a gold nugget in dirt. So everybody has the same Buddha nature, Buddha potential, like this gold nugget. For no matter how disgusting a person's delusions may be, the real nature of their mind remains undefiled, like pure gold. In the heart of even the cruelest and most degenerate person exists the potential for limitless love, compassion, and wisdom. Unlike the seeds of our delusions, which can be destroyed, this potential is utterly indestructible and is the pure essential nature of every living being, including you. Your Buddha nature is indestructible. all the other mistakes we make are just temporary aberrations. And at your heart, you have a pure mind of love and compassion and wisdom, just waiting to be fulfilled. It's who you really are. Everything else is just temporary. Yeah? It's not, it's just temporary aberrations. And the only real permanent thing about you is your potential to become this extraordinary being. So there you are. And the last one is developing a mind of humility. Humility. In one of the other texts called 8 Verses of Training the Mind, or 8 Steps to Happiness, the second verse goes something like this: whenever I associate with others, may I view myself as the lowest of all, and with a pure intention, may I cherish others as supreme. So, in any situation you find yourself in, and we're thinking and meeting other people all the time, instead of thinking, oh, I want to be the best in all this group, think of yourself as the lowest, the least important in this, wherever we find ourselves. So we, in a sense, when we think like that, we stop worrying about ourselves. We stop worrying about what other people think about us. We stop worrying about our status and our future and so on. And we think more about other people's happiness and peace. And we come to feel that our job is to bring happiness and freedom from problems and suffering for other people. So this mind of humility enables us to do this for everyone and anyone, no matter what they look like. Some old man, for example, appearing in, unkempt clothing, and seeing dirty. Our job is to benefit this person, not to ignore them, not just to walk by. So let's finish with a meditation then. So again, sit in good meditation posture. And for a few moments, just watch the rhythm of your breathing. And when you think of other people, maybe some people you have in the past or ordinarily dislike because you see them engaging in bad behavior. And so you can contemplate this fault that I see in the other person is not the fault of the person themselves. It is the fault of the delusion, or the fault of their actions that are motivated by their delusion. And the delusion is not who they are. The delusion is simply a temporary aspect of their mind, a temporary aberration. The real nature of their mind is their potential. At the heart of every living being is a mind of love and compassion and wisdom. Even the most difficult person still has that same potential. Realizing this may never view others' faults, but see every living being as supremely important. So may I cherish every living being as supremely important, because living beings have no faults. Any faults that I see is not the fault of the person, but of the temporary delusions in their mind. So may I see them as supremely important. And thereby may I develop a mind of cherishing love towards every living being without exception. Even the most difficult person, the most apparently evil person, coming to the realization that other living beings have no faults. You come to realize how it is possible for you to be able to love and have compassion for every living being. How you can wish for others to be free of their faults, free of their delusions. And in other words, you view other living beings as supremely important. So now you can begin to relax your concentration, and when you're ready you can arise from meditation. So when you're out of meditation, you try to remain mindful of what we learned tonight, that when you see other people engaging in difficult actions and saying things that are unpleasant and so on, just remind yourself this is just a temporary aberration. The person themselves has no faults. It's just a temporary fault, a temporary delusion in their mind, and they're not seeing things the way they really exist. And so then we can enable ourselves to feel more loving and kind and considerate and compassionate to everyone we meet and think about. Okay, and then next week we'll be continuing with, I think it is practice of great compassion. No, exchanging self with others. Actually, now it's for 2 weeks' time, because next week, do you know where you're going to be? St. George's Hall. Because we have this event in St. George's Hall starting at 7 o'clock, I believe. Seven, yes. It's called Freedom from Anxiety. And we have a special guest teacher who's Kenrab, who was the general spiritual director of her whole tradition. Is a great international teacher, internationally renowned, and he's going to talk about freeing ourselves from anxiety in the digital age. You find yourself doom scrolling sometimes, maybe. So how does it feel when we're doom scrolling? It's awful. Yeah. So he's going to talk about the stress that we create for ourselves in this digital age. So freeing ourselves from anxiety. And then on the weekend after that, we have a 2-day retreat on some of the points that Gela Kenrab raises during his talk. So we'll be practicing and we're meditating on the aspects of his talk. Obviously, we can't meditate much during his talk, but we'll take the opportunity to do that over the weekend. So that's next Thursday. Be there or be square. Thank you.